Yo, yo, yo. What's up, guys? Happy Monday. Welcome back to our live stream here on Twitch. I'm your humble host, Phantom Freak, aka Moistmaster Flex. Back in it, back in it. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Hope you guys had a good Monday, good start to your week. As you can see, we got plenty of new stuff up here. Yo, what's up, Astro? Plenty of new stuff up here in the house via Thick Freakness from myself, Menace from myself, and MC Kane on Bite This. Synchronicities on Thick Freakness. Touch from myself and Rhiannon Rose on Garrett Shared that just came out last week. I got a brand new free download actually coming out tomorrow. I don't have the link yet because it's not posted, but just keep an eye on my socials tomorrow and I will share how you guys can download that for free. It's just Belle Biv DeVoe, Poison, very classic, dance tune, but I made it more garage friendly. We got Roland from myself and Choli. That'll be out this Friday. On Thick Freakness. Oh no, sorry, on Yoshbase. Me and the man's Choli. That'll be out this Friday, the 3rd. The next Friday, the 10th, we have Fade from Tones and Verde Azul on Thick Freakness. And then the Rhythm from myself and Broshi on Bass House Music. Been wanting to get on Bass House Music for a long time. Finally got a track on there with the man's Broshi, so definitely excited for that. I also do have one more coming out this month, or maybe 2 more this month actually. I just don't have artwork yet. But I do have a free download of Sade Smooth Operator from myself on October 14th. That'll be a free download. So in about a little over 2 weeks now, you'll get a free download from me, another free download. And then on October 31st, we're releasing a Halloween compilation on Thick Freakness. So keep an eye out for that. Excuse me. All right. And then our shows. We have our after hours this Saturday. What's up, Misguided? Misguided, your link is broken again, so go ahead and resubmit. After hours this Saturday in DTLA. We have my debut in Phoenix coming about 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now. 3 weeks. Please resubmit. And then Resonance Park in November. Do have other shows coming up. We also have a Halloween party coming up on Halloween, October 31st, but I don't have a flyer for that yet, so I can't exactly share any info just yet. But I will very soon. Lastly, we have our sponsor, Eargasm. If you guys need earplugs for shows, please go cop some at eargasm.com. Use code Phantom10 for 10% off. Hell yeah, brother. All right. So, for those of you who have been here before, you guys know the deal. I take these first come, first serve on the Google form where you guys submit your music. You guys must be present in the chat to get your music reviewed. If you're not here, I'm going to move you to the back of the line. If for any reason you guys need to skip the line, you guys are more than welcome to skip the line. Just use your channel points or send money to the bottom left there. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. Entirely up to you. I'm going to list out the queue right now so you guys know where you're at. Just make sure you're in the chat so I get to your tune when you're here. All right, first up we got Zipper Say. I hope I'm saying that right. Chris Michael, Mystique, Collective Unknown. Your link is broken. Misguided. You said you resubmitted, so I can grab your resubmission. Yeah. Collective Unknown, if you see this and you're able to resubmit, please resubmit. Otherwise, we're just gonna have to skip you. Misguided, Day Ones, Crossfades, Spindle, and Eric Graham. So there's where you guys are in the queue. So yeah, if you guys want to skip the queue, you guys know what to do. But up first, we got Zipper C. Zipper say. Zipper say? All right, let's do it.
Fuck for girls, it's whatever they buy Brooklyn. I don't even drink all the drinking. I'm losing myself with these bitches I had. You know it's all you need. Two red bitches pop.
Damn, that's fucking fire, man. Yeah, lots of fucking energy here. Really digging the vibes. Yeah, definitely lots of energy. I'm digging the sound design, sound selection. Super cool. Super sick intro. I love the sound design. Vocals work really well here. They definitely match the kind of vibe you're kind of going for here. Obviously this is a remix, so I don't think I've actually heard the original, but I think you did a really good job remixing this. Drop is fat. Very nice sub. The kick is super punchy. I think there's definitely more of an emphasis here on the low end, which actually isn't a bad thing. I think especially for this style, that's something you definitely want to emphasize. Put a little bit more front and center. The one thing that I would mention though is that the vocal does get a little bit lost in the mix, but only in the latter halves of the drops. So the first drop, your emphasis obviously should be the sound design, the mid bass, the low end, that kind of stuff, and then you kind of have your vocals kind of reverbed out in the background, kind of playing like a supporting role. But when you have the sections where the vocals kind of playing more of a lead role, you need to kind of switch up the mix. I think the vocal needs to be a little bit more front and center, and maybe a touch more dry. And really, that's just a mixing thing. It's a really easy, quick fix to kind of get that vocal a little bit more front and center in that section. And like like I said, the first half of the drops is perfect because you want that bass to be more front and center, and then the vocal is kind of more reverbed out in the background. So it's kind of playing a supporting role. But I think in the second half of the drops, when you have the vocal being a lot more, I don't know what the best word is, but it's definitely playing more of a front and center role. It's definitely playing more of a lead role. It should be a little bit more audible and front and center. So yeah, it's really just a quick little mix thing, just to make it more pop out a little bit more. Really nice breakdown. I love the transitions here. Yeah, just exactly where it sits in the mix. That's really it. Love the transitions. Really nice tension in your breakdowns and in your buildups. Overall, super solid arrangement. It's really easy to follow along. I love the energy, and I love the switch up on the second drop. Yeah, really, it's just a vocal mixing thing, which is very simple, very quick to do. And then, you know, something I would definitely recommend is, yeah, dude, this sounds fantastic though. I will let you know that this sounds fantastic. I think you did a really great job. The only other thing I would probably mention is just maybe making mix in, mix out, to make it a little bit more DJ friendly. But I mean, that's super easy to do when you make an extended mix. But yeah, super simple. Nothing too crazy here. I think you did a really good job overall. Hell yeah, Astro. All right. Do we got Chris Michael? Chris Michael, you said you were going to drop off real quick. Just want to make sure you're back. Did get one more submission here from Swell Tones. Swell Times. Okay, yeah, you're back. Cool. All right, let's give this a listen here. Boom, boom, boom.
Tell you how that's a thing. Oh yeah, you just get it. Whole package, baby, like the way you fit. God bless your dad's genetics. I showed my friends, then we high-fived. Sorry if you feel objectified. Can't on myself, hormones are high. Give me more than just some butterfly. You make me wanna make you fall in love. Well, late at night, I'm thinking about you. I wanna tie in my fuzzy pink handcuffs. Oh, I hear you knocking, baby. Come on up. I know you want my touch for life. If you left me right then, who knows? I'ma let you make me. You know, that you lock me down tonight. One of me is cute, but you know, we wanna make it, we wanna make it fall in love. We wanna make it, we wanna make it fall in love. We wanna make it, we wanna make it fall in love. We wanna make it fall in love. We wanna make it, have you ever tried this one? I know you want my touch for life. If you love me right now, I'ma let you make me. You that you lock me down tonight. One of me is cute, but too low. Give it to me, baby. You make me wanna make it, You make me wanna make it fall in love. You make me wanna make it, You make me wanna make it fall in love. You make me wanna make it, You make me wanna make it fall in love. You make me wanna make it, Adore me, hold me and explore me. Mark your territory. Tell me I'm the only one. Adore me, hold me and explore me. I'm so fucking horny. Tell me I'm the only one. Adore me, hold me and explore me. Mark your territory. Tell me I'm the only one. Adore me, hold me and explore
Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, super dope. I've never heard the original Sabrina Carpenter song, but I think this, this vocal is really dope. It actually works really well for this style of drum and bass too. But yeah, to answer your question, Eric Graham, feel free to comment on anybody's music. I'm pretty sure they'll appreciate it. And again, you'll probably catch things that I probably won't catch, or it'll just give me stuff to reiterate on. Cool. Was just going to say it's always tough hearing things pre-mastering. I think this could punch a lot more, but that's to be expected with Whip. I think this is a solid start for sure. I'd have to listen a few times. There are some solid parts, some parts that could use a little bit more TLC. Yeah, I definitely agree. It's definitely rough, and it definitely needs some polish. Probably some saturation on some mid bass elements. Also, the mix down could use a little bit of adjustment. I one thing that I noted in my notes is that I think in the drop sections, you're prioritizing the vocal over the mid bass, which definitely is like an artistic choice. I'm not saying that it's wrong necessarily, but from my standpoint, I would, especially in a drop section, you want to make sure that your mid bass is standing out a little bit more, especially for drum and bass. Unless there's a section in your arrangement where it's supposed to be kind of more vocal heavy, then obviously, just like the last drum and bass track, you kind of want to have the vocals a little bit more front and center. But if it's kind of playing more supporting role, then definitely prioritize your mid bass. So it just comes down to prioritization and deprioritization of what you want to be the lead in your mix, because you can't really have two leads, and because otherwise they're just gonna be fighting for space, for sure. All right, let me dive deeper into my notes here. I love these hats. The hats, like especially from the intro, very nice. The vocals are very nice. I dig the arpeggio in the background that you kind of slowly bring in the intro. Really nice pianos, keys, really nice. I think the vocal timing probably needs a little bit of adjustment, some warping in the intro section. At times it felt a little bit off tempo. It's not even like where it's like super off tempo. It just needs ever so slightly needs an adjustment. It's nothing crazy. But yeah, just something that I could feel. So maybe just like something that you want to do is put on your click. If you're working in Ableton, put on your click and just make sure that you're on time, and then just adjust accordingly. It'll be like little nudges here and there with the warping. Very nice build up, very nice energy and tension there. Love the drops. I did put here the mix down does feel a little bit dry. So that's just a matter of adding a little bit of reverb saturation, maybe even some delay on some elements, especially the vocals and some of the synth sounds. Definitely saturation on your mid bass for sure. Sub, I think the sub is also a little bit lacking here. I think the kick is at a very nice level, so I think the sub kind of needs to move up a little bit more to match your kick. Super solid arrangement overall. I wouldn't change the arrangement at all. I think it flows very nicely, and I really like that there's like 3 drops here. Really easy to follow along. I think the vocal is arranged really well also. So again, I wouldn't change where you placed your vocal. Just in little bits and pieces here, just make sure that it's on time, on tempo. And then the thing I mentioned at the beginning is just prioritization of your lead in your mix down. So just making sure that if you want to emphasize the vocal, make sure you're emphasizing that. If you want to emphasize your mid bass, stick with that. It's just a matter of prioritization. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I recognize too, like a lot of the stuff that you guys send me is definitely a whip, so I don't expect this to be like super polished and like mastered and all that stuff. I know it's going to be rough, so usually I like to stick to more mixing stuff and more like arrangement kind of feedback as opposed to like mastering and that kind of thing. All right. Good job, Chris Michaels. Super dope tune. Really digging the vibes here. Definitely finish this one. All right. Do we have Mystique? And then, I don't know, Collective Unknown, if you resubmitted. I don't know if I received that yet. Oh, yeah, maybe I got to double check right now. Boo, 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 boo. Do we got Mystique in the chat? Mystique in the chat. Mystique in the chat. Yeah, no problem, man. Collective Unknown, your link works. We got Mystique. Mystique in the chat. Mystique going once. Mystique going twice. All right, no Mystique. So we're skipping Mystique. We're going to Collective Unknown. Collective Unknown, you're back. Do. Boo, boo, boo. Okay, cool. So you're here. Just wanted to make sure. All right. Let's dive into Collective Unknown's tune here.
I need someone to understand who's patient in my head. 'Cause all these thoughts got me too damn scared. I need someone to understand who's patient in my head. All these dead.
Nice. Hell yeah. Yeah, lots of really cool shit in here going on. I really like the swing. Lots of really cool call response, a lot of really cool sound design, and that vocal is fucking fire. Let's start with the top here, diving right into things. That's what I put. Yeah, you basically just like right out the gate, you just started off with things. What I might do is a little bit of filtering in the intro, just so that you're kind of slowly introduced to things as opposed to just like balls to the wall right from the get-go. There is utility to kind of doing that kind of balls to the wall at the start of a track sometimes, but I think for something like kind of this heavy, you probably want to just kind of ease people into it a little bit. I love the breakbeat. Breakbeat's super cool when you use it in both the first intro as well as the second break section. Really nice vocal. The vocal is super dope. I really love the vocal. And there's also some really nice reverb and delay to it, so it gives it a lot of just like really big space and depth. Yeah, and then yes, somebody else mentioned it, but there is a bit of clipping going on, so something's being squashed tremendously here. So it's usually I hear it a lot more when the kick is coming in, both in this first kind of build-up section as well as in the second build-up section, but there are bits and places where I can hear a little bit of over compression, kind of squashing going on. So yeah, just something to be mindful of. Make sure you're kind of keeping your dynamics, because that's where you can get a lot of your loudness from. So if you over compress everything, you're not getting any dynamic range, and everything just kind of sounds bleh and squashed, you know. Really nice swing in the drops. Although I put here the sub feels a little bit lacking underneath your main respace. Your kick is very nice. Your kick is at a really nice level. Also, again, I think Eric Graham mentioned it. Just make sure your sidechain is really locked in, because especially with like these kind of like more bass music genres, your kick and your snare are basically going to be your best friends. Those are the things you want to prioritize probably the most. As long as your kick and snare are cutting through the mix, it's going to make everything else sound fucking fantastic. And then outside of that, obviously your sub is going to be secondary, but it should also be bumping right up there with your kick. So make sure you have a really powerful and substantial sub in there to kind of drive the low end. I really like the call response you got going on with your mid bass. I got this like legato thing, and then like a kind of more staccato melody that's like responding back. I put here, I might push the tempo a bit more, only because although I do like the swing, it does feel like it's dragging a little bit. So you could, I would say you could probably push it maybe as far as even like 5 BPMs, potentially, but definitely play around with it, see what feels good. 5 might be a little bit drastic, but you never know. Again, play around with it, see what feels good to you, but I do think it does need to be kind of bumped up a little bit more in the tempo department. Structure's really dope here. I really dig the arrangement. No issues there. I do think the little DJ scratches are a little bit loud in the mix, but that also might be a matter of whatever clipping you're doing going on here. Clipping or limiting, whatever's going on there. But definitely be mindful of those little DJ scratches in the mix, because they do get a little bit loud. And I like the switch up on the second drop. Yeah, nice little kind of vibe change, which is really cool. The only thing I would probably put in as far as like an arrangement and structure standpoint is a little bit of an outro where we get to basically just hear the vocal kind of pay off again and kind of just like fade out, you know? I think it'd be cool to hear the vocal one last time before you wrap things up. Yeah, no. By all means, Eric, you're welcome to comment. I highly recommend you guys chat in the comment section here, the captions in the chat, um, just so that you guys get a little bit of dialogue. And again, you know sometimes you guys might catch something that I don't catch. I think any feedback is helpful and useful, as long as it's constructive. I don't want people bashing each other, obviously, but I don't think I've ever had a problem with people bashing each other. So, and of course, I'm not going to bash you, because my goal here is that you guys get better. I'm not going to bash your guys' music, for sure. Yeah, no, it's that's really the goal here, is just to make sure that you guys have something to work with, and you guys are allowed the space, a judgment-free zone where you can actually get some constructive feedback and get better, because that's the goal. All right, Collective Unknown, great job, really dope idea here, really dope tune. Thanks for sending this over. All right, Misguided, you have some ads. Let me know when your ads are done, and I will I don't know why I just got this Johnny Cash song stuck in my head. That's very interesting, because I wasn't even listening to Johnny Cash today. That actually happens to me pretty frequently, that I get like a random fucking song stuck in my head. Any hoops. All right. Any hoops. Yeah, please do not submit in the Discord. The Discord's just there for you guys to join the community and all that. If you want to submit on the Google form right there in the chat. All right, Misguided, let's do it.
Unsure of the feeling, wide awake, still sleeping. Consciousness is fleeting. Fantasies of fiction within. Why are we high, or is it lucid desire? Lucid I'm sure of the feeling. Why you wake still sleeping? Consciousness is fleeting. I fantasies of fiction within. Why are we high, or is it lucid desire?
Yeah, super sick. I really love those fucking guitars. The guitars and the vocal are like literally like the best parts of this track. Really like cool stuff here. I'm assuming this is more along the lines of like breakdown. I wouldn't say breaks. I guess it's kind of like bass music. But I do have some notes. Love the guitars. Really dope vocal. I like the sound selection. Really cool 808 sub and percussion. I put here the limiting might be pushed a bit hard because there is a little bit of clipping going on, primarily on the low end. So yeah, just something to be mindful of. Definitely a bit of a hybrid for sure. Really dig the acid bass when it comes in, as well as the Reese bass. I feel like from a arrangement standpoint, one thing that I did note is that this section right here, and then this section right here, immediately after like the main sections, or I guess technically the drops, they feel a bit unnecessary, only because they feel like they deviate from the main motif and the main melody way too much to kind of tie things together. So it kind of just like goes off track and then dives right back onto track. So it feels like a little bit of an unnecessary deviation. You could probably just remove those and it would flow together a lot more seamlessly, I think. Secondly, my main issue with the track is that it feels like a lot of buildup, but not really enough payoff. And what I mean by that is that your main sections, like your drop sections, I think it needs something. It needs more of a main melody, main motif. And I think that's primarily going to have to come from the 808 sub. And I think the easiest way to do that is use your guitar melody and basically replicate that into an 808. So
Unsure of the feeling.
So, kind of like a bass, really easy way to do that. And that'll basically fill out a main section because you're keeping like a really kind of simple through notes, really simple through melody, and it'll tie everything together. And if you simplify things, simpler is always better. Yeah, the vocal is very big. So when you get to like your drop section, you can kind of pull out the vocal and just focus in on like the main, sound design, which is like your 808, your kick, your snare for like bass music. And then you can throw the vocal back in as like little chops and like little turnarounds. The main thing I would say, because I'm not a bass music expert by any means, so I wouldn't tell you how to structure this exactly. What I would say is listen to some of your favorite bass music artists and just see what they're doing with their structures, how they're structuring the drops, and how they're kind of building up tension, and just use that as like a reference. No, again, I don't listen to enough bass music to be like any expert on it. I read mostly house and garage and breaks and that kind of thing. So definitely, you know, there are some similarities, but there's definitely differences with bass music for sure. My biggest suggestion is like go look at artists that you really look up to and see what they're doing and use that as a reference. I wouldn't say copy it verbatim, but like use it as a reference to kind of get some ideas and inspiration from. Yeah, that would be my main thing to say. But I do think like the sound selection you have here is fantastic. I think it just needs to be kind of structured out a little bit better, have like a more synchronistic through line melodic motif that kind of carries through the entirety of the track. And I think starting with your guitar melody is the way to go. Start with your guitar melody and then basically copy that almost verbatim with your 808, and I think that'll kind of carry things through pretty easily, pretty simply. Yeah. Good job, Misguided. Hell yeah. All right. Do we have day ones? Okay. I'm gonna use the restroom real quick, and then I will be right back. But once we get back, we'll use day one. We'll go with day ones. Hell yeah. BRB. All right. Let's get back into it. Day ones. Oh. Oh yeah, so you're asking about submissions. So ideally SoundCloud or Dropbox. Yeah, ideally SoundCloud or Dropbox, only because the reality is like I listen to unreleased work in progress music. So I don't think you can send stuff through Spotify or Apple or YouTube that's going to be all released music. So I can't really give feedback on already released music. It doesn't really make sense because it's already out in the world and everyone's listened to it. So yeah, the goal here is to help you prepare for releasing your music. So if you have unreleased stuff, work in progress stuff, yes, please send that over and I will listen to that. All right, day one, let's do it.
Time was never really on our side. We never got a chance to try, and now we have to say goodbye. Strange how everything gets in the way. They tell you love is all it takes, but do you think it's true tonight? 'Cause I don't wanna walk away. Tell me something's here to say, that we can find it at the start, like starlight in the dark. Even if it's not right now, we'll find our way back somehow. When all of my steps start to fade, our love can be retraced.
Nice. Yeah, lots of really weird stuff going on here. I like a lot of the sound design. I think there's a lot of really unique stuff going on here, a lot of experimental stuff going on here. So, yeah, definitely from start to finish, it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. However, there's some stuff that I would adjust. Primarily, I think the vocal is fantastic. However, the key that you're writing in does not match the vocal. It seems somebody mentioned there's a lot of dissonance. So, primarily, you need to get a lot of the melodic motifs that you're writing need to be within the same key that your vocal is at. Otherwise, you're gonna get a lot of butting heads. I think that's where a lot of the tension's coming in, and I'm gonna get into the tension a little bit more in a bit here. But the main thing is that the key that you're writing your song in needs to primarily match the vocal. And I think you're not that far off. It sounds like you're very close, probably within 1 to 2 half steps. It doesn't sound like you're that far off. It might even just be the difference between a major and minor key, which is usually just a couple of notes that you need to swap in and out. So that's just something to keep in mind there. First off, I put here very unique sound design. I do love a lot of the sound design that you're doing here. It's very dope. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on though. The big thing that I have here is that it doesn't feel like we have any sort of structure or payoff. So there is a lot of buildup, but it doesn't feel like it pays off into a drop. So I was expecting, a typical drum and bass, and then like some heavy sub to kind of sit underneath. But it didn't feel like the buildup was ever paid off. It felt like it was constantly building up throughout the entirety of the track. So definitely kind of like, you don't have to, especially if you're doing experimental stuff, you don't have to do a very traditional structure, but you do have to have some sort of structure. So yeah, you definitely want to have at least 1 to 2 drops. You can go crazy and do 3 if you wanted to, but definitely like intro, build, drop, breakdown. You can go like bridge if you want to, another build up and then another drop. But if you want to get experimental, you can kind of break out of that very standard, kind of structure. But as long as it stays somewhat within that realm, it'll give the listener some familiarity, and it'll help them kind of guide them listening to the track. So it'll flow a lot better. And it signals to the listener like, oh, hey, hell yeah, this thing's gonna pay off right now. That's where you get like all the like whoop whoop and the fuck yeahs, So yeah, definitely structure needs some work, and then the key of the track needs to kind of fall in line with the vocal. But I do love a lot of the ideas you have here. I do love the vocal itself, and the sound design is fucking crazy. It's really fucking cool. But yeah, I think you're definitely headed in a really dope kind of direction with this though. So yeah, definitely kind of keep at it, and definitely listen to some other drum and bass style tunes to kind of give you some reference and guidelines to how to take this track. Yeah, good job, day ones. Hell yeah, brother. All right, do we have Young Gus crossfades? Hell yeah. All right. So I'm gonna read out the queue again, just so you guys know where you're at. I'm not leaving any of you high and dry. We got Crossfades, Spindle, Eric Graham, Swell Times, Ones, On My Ones, and Mystique, who we skipped earlier. But if he's here, then he'll be back in the queue. All right, Crossfades. Let's do it.
Can you feel vibe? 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 Let's rock the club. Can you feel the vibe? Can you feel the vibe? Can you feel the vibe? Can you feel Can you feel the vibe? 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 Let's rock the club.
Hell yeah. Young Crossface, do you have ads too? Everyone have ads? All right, back. Everybody back? King. King. All right, everyone is back. Yeah, dude, super dope. I love this tempo. I tend to write my tunes quite fast as well. I think lately, most of the tracks I'm releasing are between 135 and like 142-ish. So yeah, I definitely love this tempo. Super speedy, really solid intro, really nice filtering, super solid bass line. I really love the groove here. Super solid groove. And I think you did a good job on the sound selection. I've never heard you write stuff like this before. But I think you did a really good job for. I don't know if this is your first time, but the first time I'm hearing something like this, I think you did a good job, really good job on sound selection. Yes, everything was coming through quite clear and strong. And a lot of that comes down to really quality sample selection. I think you don't need a whole lot, but if you have some very minimal, very quality samples, it's gonna make your music sound 100 times better, as opposed to just throwing, everything on the wall. No, the queue is not closed. Feel free to submit in the Google form. Google form. Boom, boom. All right. Yes. Really dig the vocal. The vocal feels very appropriate to this genre. Really got that ravey type of old school type of vibe going on here. Really love the tempo. Solid groove. I think your snare could probably come up in the mix a bit more. I think your kick and your bass line are actually at a really, really nice level, but the snare can definitely come up. Really dope synths and layers. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on melodically, especially on the top end. So you're kind of going back and forth between using the vocal as kind of a lead and then having some other kind of lead synth. Both of them work really well. And they also do well to add in some nice variations so it doesn't feel, very loopy and repetitive. Yes, I actually do. I 100% agree with that. That was in my notes here. Vocal could definitely use a bit of reverb. It does sound a little bit dry. But yeah, I think the vocal itself is at a good level and it sounds pretty good. But it just needs a little bit of depth. So a little bit of reverb, maybe a touch of delay. Nothing too crazy, but just enough to kind of, let it give it some space. Super solid arrangement. Really nice tension in these builds here. And then overall just very solid vibes from start to finish. I think this is really well done. Just some minor tweaks, I think. But I think overall, just it was definitely executed very well, because you just picked some really quality sounds and samples. So yeah, well done, young Gus. Hell yeah. All right, next up is the man Spindle. Yeah, no problem, man. It's been a while, young Spindle. Been a while. All the way in Tasmania, if I remember correctly. Tasmanian devil. Good day, mate. All right, let's dive right into Spindle's tune.
Me and you tonight. Me and you tonight. We can switch positions if you like. talk about me and you tonight. We can switch positions if you like. Let's talk about me and you tonight. Get down low, low. Nervous and running through my blood. Get down low. Let's talk about me and you tonight. Let's talk about me tonight.
Nice one, bruv. Yeah, super dope tune. I really love the groove here. It's super solid. Kick, mid bass, and all the drums work really well to give you a really, really nice groove. Let's see. Eric Graham says, I still think you want to take a look at that middle drop and contrast it a bit more. Really fun song. Thanks for letting us hear it. Oh no, that was from the last song. Yeah, this kind of stuff is my jam. Super dope structure and arrangement. You just need to punch that shit up. Need a little TLC in some of the breaks too. Silent was a ripper, bit of fun. Yeah, Silent gets you some really cool sounds. You know, every soft synth has its kind of like tone, its own like kind of character. And almost immediately, like if you were to tell somebody like, hey, guess what I wrote this one in? You could probably be like, yeah, that's definitely Silent, or that's definitely Serum, or that's definitely, you know, Anna, you know, some of these really, really random and obscure ones. But yeah, each of them have their kind of own tonality and quality to them, which is really cool. Yeah, lots of cool stuff here. Really dig the vocal. Really cool synth work. I think the Silent works really well here. Especially if you're using all your synths in Silent. I think everything kind of like feels very cohesive and it really plays really well with each other. Love the arpeggio and a lot of the ear candy stuff you got going on. Really solid, really dope bass line and bass line groove. The vocal works really well here. Really solid builds into the drop sections. I put here the clap tail is a little bit long. So I might tighten that up and just shorten it a little bit. Just so it's a little bit more punchy as opposed to kind of just like trailing off, you know? So yeah, I think there's a little bit too much tail. Just kind of shorten it and fade it a little bit quicker. I might also layer on a second clap or a second snare just for a little bit more power. Because the snare that you have in here actually isn't bad. It just feels a little bit thin. So I might layer on top a secondary one. Clap and reverb and clipping was about to throw my computer out the window. For sure. I know that feeling. From an arrangement standpoint, it's really fucking solid. I was originally gonna say that these first two drops are a bit short, especially compared to the last drop. But what I'm noticing from the structure is basically you have like intro build, drop 1, breakdown 1, drop 2, breakdown 2, and then like a really long last drop right here. So this, I think both of these are probably about 16 bars right here, and this one's probably about 32 bars, which isn't like, you know, it's not crazy or wild by any means. But I do like the idea of having 3 drops. Typically, I'm more of like a 2-drop guy. And maybe some like a breakbeat bridge if I want to get kind of saucy and weird. But I think this definitely works. Because it's so quick hit that it doesn't really throw off the energy too much. If anything, if I was going to do anything with the structure, I might shorten up this first breakdown. So it's kind of just like boom, boom, right back into it. Yeah, and then kind of build out the intro a little bit more. So basically just pull out like 8 bars from this breakdown and throw it on the front. Yeah, because I think, 4 minutes for a song is, is solid. And then you can always you can even trim this down even more for a radio edit. But yeah, I think that's really the only thing that really kind of came out to, like, popped out at me is the clap thing, and maybe just like a little bit of adjustment on the structure here. But that's about it. Everything else sounds fantastic. I think, all the sounds you picked were great. The vocals were great. Yeah, lots of really cool stuff here. Good job, Spindle. Hell yeah, brother. All right, I'm gonna name out the cue so you guys know that you guys weren't left behind. All right, we got Eric Graham up next. Then we got Swell Times. On my ones, Mystique. I don't know if Mystique ever showed up. If Mystique didn't show up, then we can just throw him in the back of the line again. Waste Yourself, Maui, and Shankstank. Sorry. Yeah, that's the cue right now. Just stick around if I called your name, and we will get to you very shortly. I'm gonna use the restroom real quick, and then we'll dive right back in. let's dive right into Eric Graham's tune here.
That girl is fucking chaos.
Neon drips from her fingertips. Every word like a loaded clip. You're caught up in the static storm. She'll rewrite you, reform. That girl is fucking chaos. Crack mirror, show a reflection. Reality's a false connection. Can you feel her infection? That girl is chaos, chaos. She's tearing through the night. That girl is chaos, chaos. She's breaking every light. Fucking chaos. Yeah. 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 That girl is fucking chaos. Hey girl, yeah. Hey girl, yeah, yeah. 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 Hey girl. Yeah. Fucking girls.
Nice. Dude, I haven't really got anything like this in the live stream before. It feels like a lot of like throwback, like a throwback almost to like 2012 maybe. Maybe I'm dating myself here. But yeah, it feels like a lot of that like Electro House, almost like on the tail end of Fidget going into like Electro House, that era. But yeah, really cool. Kind of feels like a throwback almost. It's super dope. Yeah, super cool. Love the tempo. Really solid groove. The vocal processing is super dope. Also, really cool distortion on the bass line. It almost felt like the bass line was kind of like being beatboxed almost, and then like run through an amplifier. So like honestly, it could have very well fooled me if all of this was basically just vocal sampling. I mean, that would have been fucking cool, because that leaves a lot of open possibilities for like live performance too. If you're able to like beatbox this shit and then also do the vocal parts, be fucking sick. But yeah, that's what's kind of gave me that vibe. Everything's very cohesive. Sound selection's very nice. Really nice arrangement overall. I like the fills. Everything felt very like it flowed really well. Nice transitions. Really nice. Good job playing around with the energy. There's a lot of like really random fake outs, but they don't feel like they're like very like abrasive. They feel like very intentional, and it really flows and transitions really well. Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, it definitely lends itself to kind of like a signature sound. So like, you know, if that's like kind of like your bread and butter, like definitely lean into that, because that's really fucking sick. It's not something that I really hear a lot. So I think it's really good and unique that you kind of lean into that, because it becomes like your signature. The Dugga bits with the drums are mint. I honestly don't really have any feedback per se. That's stuff that I would change. At first, I was gonna say like this last section here was kind of just like, it felt like unnecessary, but this kind of works as like a mix out. So I don't think it's anything really kind of wrong with this. So to speak. I think everything fucking works really well. And it's pretty loud, but like in a good way. It doesn't feel like it's like squashed. You definitely have very nice dynamics here. I think the tempo is really, really solid. Yeah, this sounds fantastic. I wouldn't change a thing here. Good job, Eric Graham. Very well done. Very, very well done here. Yeah, it definitely gives me like almost like a throwback vibe, but you know, like everything always comes full circle, you know, like these trends, they only last maybe like a year or two. Tech House had like a really long run, you know, and it kind of ran back into techno. Garage is having like its day in the sun now. Hard groove, hard techno is kind of making a thing right now. So yeah, like, you know, keep doing your thing, because like, you know, like honestly, fuck trends. Just write music that you love and enjoy, and like, you know, you'll find your people essentially. Hardstyle is next. We got Swell Times up here. Let's do it.
Mad motherfucking hot. Mad motherfucking hot. Mad motherfucking hot.
there. Fuego. Can we hear the drop, please, again? Yeah, I mean, we sure can, I guess. First or second drop? Well, I think this track is private, so you probably won't be able to listen to it again unless he sends it to you. Okay. Yeah, fucking fire. Fire-ass track. Really nice swing. I think the sound selection here is fantastic. Arrangement super solid. Really easy to flow along with and kind of listen along to. The vocals are fantastic. Even though they're very kind of like minimal type of vocals, they don't need to be anything spectacular, but they work really well for this. It's very effective. Very straightforward, kind of like vocal hook. Love the space and dynamics here. All adds to that kind of really nice swing. Really loving the sound design in both drop sections. You do a really good job with the call response, as well as a lot of really nice variations. It doesn't feel like, it's like copy pasted throughout the entirety of the track. It's almost consistently evolving and changing, which is very nice. Again, super solid arrangement and very nice fills. Yeah, honestly, fucking fantastic. I would not change a thing here. It's well times. I think you fucking killed it with this one. Hell yeah. No problem, man. All right. Do we have On My Ones? On My Ones. On My Ones. On My Ones going once. On My Ones going twice. All right, that's a skippity skip. All right, Mystic. I don't know if Mystic's still here. We skipped him before, but I don't know if he showed up. Waste Yourself. Waste Yourself. Wow, 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 wow. Waste Yourself. Going once. Waste Yourself going twice. All right, no Waste Yourself. Do we got Maui? Maui, then Shankstank. And then I got one more loaded in the chamber here from Fade. Maui? We got Maui here. Wow, 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 wow. Maui going once. Maui going twice. All right, no Maui. Maui wowie. Shankstank. There we go, Shankstank. We're going Shankstank next. And then Fade. I guess Fade will be the last one if Fade is here. All right, let's give this a listen.
Can you give us any indication, and I know this is not the best time to ask, but what's going through your mind? Your mind.
Yeah, dude, super sick. I could definitely hear the improvement in your sound, both like from a mixing standpoint as well as like just a songwriting and structural standpoint. It's sounding fucking dope. I think it's really well done. Really dope intro. I'm really digging the sound design here. Very solid swing with your kick and your snare. It's exactly what you want for this style of music. The pre-drop vocal is super sick. I would have, I would have liked to hear a little bit more of that vocal, kind of pop in and out through your drop sections, but I think it works really well where you have it. Um, yeah. The drop sections have some very nice, very nice distortion as well as the sub. The sub is fantastic here. I think it's at a very nice level, especially for the genre. And it just bumps. You know, your low end is actually really well done. Um, I think the arrangement's super solid here. My only main piece of feedback is that the bass line does feel a little bit static, especially in the first 8 bars. I mean, you start to get a little bit weirder with it as the track goes on, which is good. But I would have liked to hear a little bit more variation, maybe bring in other sounds to kind of complement that main bass line. But this first like 8 bars just feels like very static. It just feels like the same. Um, but yeah, definitely add in some variations just to kind of keep it spicy. And you could always, again, like you could always bring back that vocal at some point at the end of phrases to just to kind of add as like a callback. But I think, just to start where this track is right now, it's super strong. I think it's a really dope idea. And it's mixed very well. So your all your sounds are very cohesive and coherent, and you have some very nice dynamics here. Um, yeah, definitely add in some more variations, just to keep it spicy. I think it's a really well thought out idea though. Good job, Shank Stank. Hell yeah. All right. Do we got fade? Lots of dubstep today. Lots of dubstep and drum and bass today. Not a bad thing though. Do we got fade? Fade in the chat. Fade going once. Fade going twice. All right, no fade. So I'm going to call it quits. I got to actually work on some tunage myself. I have a lot of vocals that I got to work on. But yeah, thanks to everybody who joined the stream today. Thanks to everybody who submitted tunes. I will be back again next Monday, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Pacific time here on Twitch. Go follow me on all the things. We got some cool music coming up and some dope parties coming up in LA. Yeah, and I'll catch you guys next Monday. Hope you guys have a good Monday night.